Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Initially, when we created our datasets and we published our dataset, we did not apply any Prism security. We simply used the default one. Today, I would apply Prism security as well. It's a very simple concept. The basics of any Workday, security is a domain. If you remember when we published our dataset, it would give us a message that this will be defaulted to a domain called Prism. Default to dataset access. All security in Workday is handled through domains. What is a domain? A domain is a collection of different objects. Domain is nothing but a grouping. Let's say there is a domain for A, B, C. This domain can have, let's say, 5 reports. If you get access to the domain, you'll automatically get access to all of those 5 reports. Domain is nothing but a collection of secured items. This is what the term in Workday is secured item. What is a secured item? A report is a secure item. A task is a secure item. Any field is a secure item. Any data source is a secure item. These are all secured items and these are included in domains. Once I get access to the domain, I would automatically have access to the items which are part of the domain. That is why when you updated or published the data catalog or data set, it applied the security in terms of a domain, a default domain. And anyone who has access to the domain, which is basically your Prism administrators, they would automatically be able to build a report. But then we can apply any custom security as well. Obviously, we'll do that in terms of applying any custom domains. I would come back to data catalog. This is our datasets. This is the data set we had published. First, I'll have to unpublish it. Let's view this in New tab. This is currently published. However, no data source security has been applied. I cannot publish it. I'm going to unpublish it. I was thinking that you were last time I published it. When I published it, it created a data Prism data source. And this is the data source we were able to use to create our discovery boards. We saw with respect to our discovery boards, we can use a Prism data just like a normal data source. Now, what you can also do is you don't have to manually publish in every time. You can create a schedule. What is the schedule? See, this is how datasets work. You created your base dataset. Right? You transformed it. Let's say the second data set was VC. Then you transformed it into DA. And this is your final published data set to KLM. And this is the data set which will be used for building your reports. Right. Once you publish your data set, any new data which is coming in, your employees, if you remember, we had 3 or 4 base data sets. And one of those data sets was worker details. One was company details, one was supervisory details, one was worker details, and then the stock plans. Now, if I only talk about worker details, my organization will get new workers. New workers will be hired. Existing workers will get terminated or their details would change. My organization data is not static. It keeps changing. It keeps getting updated. Initially, I brought in data from different sources into my different base data sets. I then transformed it. And finally, I have published this data set. If I go in here, if I look at the lineage, I brought in data through different base data sets. Some are based on custom reports, some are based on external files. I transformed the data and finally, this is my final transformed data and I have published it. Now, after I have published this data set, which is my final data set post, that my new data can be flowing in. Right, because my worker details have changed. I want to get in that data into my base data set. Now that base data set, once new data comes, it moves into this data set. It moves into this data set. It moves into this data set. But my data source which got created, it will not get updated. It will not get updated until you republish your data set. Initially, when this data set was published, whatever data was there in this data set, that gets added to the Prism data source. And that data becomes available for building your reports. Any new data which is coming in will not be automatically available to your Prism data source. You will have to keep republishing your data source. Sorry, your published data set. And for that you need to. Now do I need to schedule publish for A, B, C, everything? You said the publish. Not here, because if you see you need to publish, create a schedule for base data set. Because your base data set will continuously read new data, you need to create a schedule for your base data set. But this schedule is to read data. Because the moment data changes, you want to read that data. The moment any data comes into base data set, it automatically moves here. It automatically moves here. It automatically moves here as well. The only thing is it doesn't get added to the data source. For adding this new data to the data source, you'll have to create a schedule, and this schedule is to publish your data set. There are two kinds of schedules you have to do. One is to read new data and then to publish new data. Here you can create a publish schedule. On your base data set, you can create. That's your new tab. I'm just taking one base data set as an example, and this is a published data set. There are two types of schedules you'll build. One is the schedule to read new data. One is the schedule to publish data, new data on this base data set. If you go to the additional actions, if you go to data set, you can edit the integration details. If you remember when we created this data set, We selected the option Run Now and it created an integration. Right? We did not schedule this. Now I can edit the integration details and I can actually schedule it. Schedule it, let's say, to run on a daily basis or run on a weekly basis. If I come here, now I'm saying run this on a weekly basis. Let's assume every week this base dataset will automatically run. This base dataset is based on a custom report. It will automatically call that custom report. And then it will read in whatever latest data is there. I would be creating a schedule to read data. And what schedule is there? The integration schedule. When I click, it will show me the reference details. Which days of the week I want to run. I can select the days of the week. I want this to run, let's say every Sunday. What time do I want to start? I want this to start every Sunday, let's say 12 am. And I want to start it effective this Sunday. And I want this to run, let's say, till the end of the year. This is my schedule to read data into my base data set. The first schedule that I would create is to read data into my base data sets. I'll only do that for 3 of these base data sets. Which one? The ones which are based on my custom report. Because the fourth one, if you see, I have read it from a file. Anything which is created from a local file that you cannot create a schedule. You can only create an integration schedule for those base data sets which are either based on a custom report or on an SFTP server, because in an SFTP server your location is predefined. Your base data set would run. It will automatically go to that location, pick up the file, if it is available, a new file it is available, and process it. You will see JMZO50 SO4 is a file stack on it. It's SFTP only, right? Which one? This one. No, this is from our local machine, right? If you remember, we said obviously we don't have access to an SFTP server. We simply created it from our local machine. I had this file saved and I simply access it. That is the only difference. That's why, if you remember when I spoke about it, this was create base data set using a file. A base data set is created from a file when data is less likely to change, because here you cannot schedule something automatically. You'll have to read it manually because it is from your local machine. If there is some data which won't change over a long period of time, only then it is recommended that you create it from a base data set using a file. Why is that the case? Because this involves manual activity. You will have to manually read on it whenever the file content changes or whenever the source content changes. From SFTP, here you can define an integration schedule. You can define an integration schedule for SFTP as well as custom report, but not for a file. That is the difference. Only difference between SFTP and file. A file is placed on your local machine. You can place it on your CD drive, on your desktop, wherever. And then you can manually pick that file. That is not the case with an SFTP. You create your integration schedules for any base data set which are either created from custom reports or SFTP to read data. And then you create your publishing schedule. Let's come to this data set. This is my published data set. I can create a publishing schedule. Again, the same logic. Publish. I can create a new schedule. the same options. I can run it daily, weekly, monthly, or I can create a dependent schedule. What is the dependent schedule? If you see, I should only be publishing data set if there is some new data which has come in. If no new data has come in, what is the use of publishing a data set? Or if I can put it the other way, only if this schedule to read the data is completed, then I should be publishing it. My schedule is not yet completed to read new data. What is the use of publishing it? Right? I can schedule it to run automatically, let's say on a weekly basis. Again, the same example. I can say this data set will get republished every Sunday 1 p.m. or whatever. Right? Either I'm saying publish this data set every Sunday 1 p.m. and this will get republished. Or I can say that instead of publishing it automatically on a daily or a weekly or monthly basis, this schedule is dependent. Dependent on what? Dependent. Depend on. Dependent on a data acquisition process being completed. What is data acquisition? Basically data reading. Only if this particular schedule, which is to acquire data, is completed, then go ahead and trigger this schedule. If we don't schedule that one, I don't give you here to schedule it. It's not that easy, right? When you click here, it will show you all the integration schedules you have already defined. If I have not defined any schedule, it is only showing me 2 because I have not saved it yet. I did not create an integration schedule. It will show you all the integration schedules if it's in dataset integration schedule. Let's say I'm saying this is the one, just as an example. And then on what status? Only after this is successfully completed. Right. Obviously it is not. I'm saying and then maybe I want to delete for a couple of minutes just to ensure everything is fine. I'm saying trigger with delay. Trigger with, let's say, 30 minutes of delay. Right? Just to ensure there are no issues. After this integration schedule completes, this data is completed. This will then wait for 30 minutes and then republish the data set. Now let me unpublish it and then we'll apply the data source security. It is unpublished now. I can go in here now. Security, and I can edit data source security. All security is applied in terms of domains. Now I can select a custom domain. Because this is a data security. You got this one, sorry. Secure. This is the task. Now I can select some custom domain. The Workday has already given us a lot of custom domains. We can use these custom domains for any custom security requirement. Let's say this is the custom domain. I'm using custom domain 100. Right now, while I have from my end, what I'll do is I'll say this particular data set or the data source of this data set is included in this domain. And then the security team can then go ahead and give access to this domain to different people. Right? What am I doing from my end? I'm including this data set into this domain. And then the security team, or if you are a security consultant, you'll then go ahead and give access to this domain to different users, to different security groups. Those users who have access to this domain will be able to access this data set as well as any other data sets. Now in Workday Inner Report, there are two types of securities. One is the overall security, which means again, if you see, I have 100,000 workers in my system. Each worker we have discussed is an instance. Each worker is an instance. Do I have access to all the instances, or do I have access to only selected instances? Again, an administrator has access to see all those 100,000 records, but a manager only has access to see those records which are the manager's direct employees. This domain, whatever I select here, it will give you access to the entire, all the data in this data source. There could be 1,000,000 records. There could be 100,000 records or whatever. Anyone who has access to this domain will be able to access the entire data source. But then I can also control selective access. Now for that, I'll have to define the securing entities. What is the securing entity? Why doesn't it show me the securing entity? Don't I have access? You need to change and create a new domain. No, it should actually. Let's see. It should actually show me automatically these supervisory organizations, these companies, as the securing entities. When you select the custom secure domain, because it's already defined, right? Am I wrong? Defined in the sense these custom domains are Workday delivered. They are not used anywhere. Well, they are just created, them that we can use them. Let me publish this dataset once again. I'm not sure if that is the issue. If you see, Workday is automatically applying a default domain, which is Prism default to dataset. But that is fine. I don't know why. It should show me all the. Maybe because I published it once. You have one published it. One published it. This will take a while to load. We'll wait for this to complete. In the meantime, any questions from any of the topics we have discussed? No far, because I didn't explore much. I think we have completed all the topics except for this one. What about the reporting? Advanced reporting, we did it. Matrix reporting, I think we did discuss. And composite reporting. Give me an idea. I don't even do composite reporting as part of my normal reporting. Because the finance people are talking about the composite reporting. But that cannot be. It is advanced reporting, advanced in the sense it is the next level reporting. This is the only possible. Can you show me how to use a multi-source for that composite reporting and get the data out? Again, that is the whole concept of a composite reporting. That itself is the crux of composite reporting. But anyway, while this publishes, let me open our duplicate tab and we are left with matrix reporting. The matrix report is very similar to or exactly similar to how we created our discovery board. Create custom report. And my report type is matrix. Again, my data sources would be the same. Either I can take an index data source or I can tell it take the normal data source, but there's no difference between a matrix report or any other report type in terms of the data source that I use. I am calling it Gen5. Or what? Matrix details some name I'm giving. Now matrix reports are used for the purpose of aggregation and grouping. If you remember, when we created our discovery boards, we aggregated all males and all females. And we got the count of males and females. The same logic is applied for a matrix report. Here you can define your grouping. Let's say I want to get a count of all employees in my different companies. My grouping is, I want to group all employees or get a count of all employees based on the company they belong to. Here I would be specifying my row grouping, which I'm saying is company. Or this could be gender, or this could be management level, or anything else. I'm selecting company. And by default, if I scroll down, I can even define column grouping. Look at that in a bit. That is optional. It is giving me the count. If you remember, we mentioned count is the default summarization when we created our discovery board. Count is available by default. And this is all I have to do. Very simple report. I'm quickly able to get when I run this. You see, it will get me all the companies in my organization and the respective count of those companies. It is giving me all the companies and the count of employees in those companies. Can I do the drill on that? Matrix reports gives me a few advanced options in the sense I can drill down. Let me see how many. What are this? What is this count? When I click here, it will give me all the workers who are part of this count. These 3041 workers, I want to further group them by, let's say, the gender details. I have the option. I didn't add any of these. They were available by default, maybe not by the gender. I want to see these 3041 workers by their age group. Let's refresh. These 3041 workers, these are in these age groups. 123 workers of those are 20 and under. Let's see what these workers again. I can further drill down. We didn't define any hierarchy or anything. How come it is taking it? This is all coming by default. We just selected the company. The only thing that we did was selected company. And this is all coming by default. Now I have the data sources created with that hierarchy and everything the custom thing. Now I have looked at those on 33. If I want, I can further view them by different options and I can keep going down. I can view them, let's say, by compensation grade. And these are those earned 23 workers by their age group. Again, I can further drill down. How can I create a custom hierarchy if I want to create a hierarchy for not here? You cannot. You'll have to do this. See, a report is nothing, but it is getting you data, whatever is there in the system. You cannot. You don't create anything in a report. A report is not creating any hierarchy here in the report. It won't, right? Why would you create a hierarchy in a report? If you want, you want to. If you want, you can show some customizations in terms of composite report, wherein you can show some structure. That is where the advantage of a composite report comes in. But in a normal report, you cannot put any conditional formatting or any of that logic. I want. However, I can add some additional groupings. I can edit my report further. For these companies, maybe I want to see the gender details as well. I can add additional groupings. My column groupings. My row grouping is something. If I want, I can add column groupings. Column grouping. Let's see what is the difference. Once we run this report, I have added two groupings. One is row grouping, which is company, and column grouping, which is gender. When I run this report now, what does it mean? When you are running the report, it is having another option of test. When you run a report in test mode, it will only give you the top 10 records. If you, let's say, you want to quickly test something because you're making changes and there are run gives you full data test, gives you part data. You can quickly test it. Alright, if you see, it is still giving me the same record, 341 count, which is in this company. But now that count is also categorized by the column groupings. In that company, male and female. What does it mean? This is the column groupings. If I want, I can show some charts as well. Some graphs as well. Again, if I click on edit, if I come to output, it is showing me the output in terms of table. I want to show both chart and table. I'll click on. And now this data, it would show me in terms of a chart as well as a table. Obviously, there are many rules. If I want, I can put a filter. Filter works in exactly the same manner as we put. One is one in the matrix model, one is in a graph model. Because we selected the output type and both chart and table. Had I only selected chart, it would have only shown me chart. Earlier, we had only selected table. It was only showing us table. Now there are many data points. I don't need all of this. I can obviously put a filter. The filter works in exactly the same manner. I can come to filter and add. This is not a problem. Filter informs. What about that one? we have an option of drill down. What is that drill down will do for me? I am coming to that. Right. We have added our groupings. We have added our filter. Obviously, we have not done that. It has the same capability as it was. Yes, that's fine. That is fine. The next thing is, let me run this report once more. Did you cover the drill down, or you're going to cover the drill down? I'm coming to that. If I run this report once more, when I click on any of these drill down options, it is simply giving me the worker name. Right. And it's not giving me any other information. Now, if I want any additional information, maybe apart from the name of the worker, I also want their age, their gender, their position. Then I can add those in the drill down column. What is the information it is giving me right now? The default information, which is basically the number of workers who are forming this count. Now let's go to the report once again. I come to the drill down and I can specify any detailed data. I need, let's say, worker name. I need, let's assume, worker's age. I need workers, let's say, position. You see, this is exactly similar to how we added our columns to an advanced report. And maybe I need manager name as well. Right? I'm just adding 4 fields and I'll click on. This is the detailed data I'm calling. What is this drillable fields? These are those view by options. You see, it is right now selected as default. Let's run this report first. In terms of output, it will still give me the exact same output. But now, when I click on this drill down value, here it will not just give me the name of the worker. It will give me all of those values. As you did in the company. When you click on the company, it gave you the worker position. You can select the manager, level and age and everything you selected. I'm seeing that if I click on a worker, then also I should get one more report. See, the reason I was able to drill down on company is because I'm using company as a grouping. This company includes multiple workers. But if you just talk about worker, it is not grouping you any data. If something is not grouping, how can you drill down further? If you want to drill down, this is the option. You can drill down further. These workers you're drilling down based on their gender. And now you can click on that. That is the way to go about it. But you cannot directly click on a worker and then drill down further. Obviously, that is a single instance. It is not a grouping field. I don't want to be grouped, but though I want to see the details of a company and then the company, the worker and the company under each worker. I want to see the details of the worker. That is something you can always see. You can add them directly here for each worker. I mean, which we're seeing his personal leaders. I'm seeing his age. I can add his date of birth. I can add his gender, nationality. That is something you can add here in the detailed data. I'm doing that right for each worker. I'm seeing that. I'm just trying to figure out how many levels of reports I can create it. Is the one level or second level of the list? One level. You only one level. There, you can drill down else. There's no option to drill down further. If you go to your report itself, you can only add one set of detailed data. You can sort it if you want to. And that is all. What you can do is that Workday is not that good in a drill down. I don't know why they used to say, because I can see here the metrics reports. We have a drill down and everything. But I don't know. Whenever we talk to the people, they say that can you provide us a drill down on the existing report? They say that it's very hard in the Workday to provide it. I'm surprised why. At least one level, you can provide it, right? Yes, that is a default feature. You don't even have to do anything about it. If you want, you can do sublevel grouping, for example, within a company. You want to see the countries. That kind of subgrouping you can do. For example, I want to add a country location. You can add up to 8 levels of grouping on row. If you see here, and up to 2 levels of grouping on column. Obviously, it will become very complex, not very legible, but then that option is available. For each company, it is showing me the countries. For this company, there are 2 countries people belong to. In Vamhanevan Power Motors in UK, there are 2 employees and in US, there are 10 employees. Can we create these kind of report in advanced report also? No need to be in metrics. No, you cannot. That is why I mentioned each report has a specific purpose. Advanced report can only get you that detailed data. It cannot get you data in this format. That's why we have different report types. That's what they have delivered. Each report type gives you a specific layout of data. The composite report has specific capabilities. BR has specific capabilities. Discovery board has specific capabilities. What is the difference with the composite to the coming to metrics in advance? What exactly you can group multiple matrix reports? You can group 3 or 4 matrix reports and bring data from different matrix reports and plug them together. You can design your own layout in composite. Can I merge the metrics and advanced report too in that? Composite, you only use matrix reports. There's a concept called scorecard. In scorecard also, you create composite reports. For that, you use advanced reports. But again, that is a very advanced concept. You create something called analytic scorecards. But as such composite report, you only use matrix reports. The composite report. Let me see if I can show you something at least. Obviously, I'll not go into details. Let's see if something is already created. Now I got it why they want to go for the composite report, everything. I can see that because for us all of the summarized level and the detailed level report, we usually provide another SF in Tableau because this one they are having a hard time. They are creating a matrix report and then everything pulling to the composite report. Let's look at this one again. I have not created. Let's see what is there. This is a matrix report. This is, I think, a scorecard. But let's quickly see. Let's see. In composite, you can do cell level of formatting and row level formatting. You can handle at a cell level. That is why composite looks in the format of an Excel. You can handle each cell. Each cell is separate. Each cell might be a different report. Different report. The composite. This is a composite report definition. It looks completely different. You are getting everything and placing side by side. Here I could be getting data from different reports and then joining those data, subtracting data from one report to another, and on and forth. Let's run this report. I'm not sure what's there in it, but let's run it. This is actually an analytics scorecard report. This report is based on a discovery board. This is an analytics scorecard report. This is what I mentioned. But let's look at this one. I think this is something someone has created. There are two kinds of composite reports. One is used for your analytics, scorecards, and metric sets. And this is that report. It is an analytics scorecard and a metric set report. This is a normal report. Let's run it. You see, here you are adding some columns, custom formulas. You are creating C1, C6, C7, and conditions whatever. I'm not sure what data it gets, but you can. If you see, you can hear. Someone has done the scoping. Good. Composite report gives me a lot of additional capabilities. What are they doing? They're simply adding this data, which is coming from one column. I'm getting C2 plus C3. This is me. I can say global modern service is a one matrix. If you click on that, the below ones are coming right. When you click on the global modern service, do you think everything is a one matrix report or everything created in metrics report and dragged here? I'll have to check that. Obviously, you can do any which ways. You can simply have one metrics report and only use that metrics report for composite because you need to do some formatting, which is not possible in a simple metrics report. Or you can get data from multiple metrics reports as well. That is all possible. We can get data from different sub-reports. Let's quickly check what is the sub-report. Let's see. This is the sub-reported. They are using AFI worker, supervisory of they're using. Let's see if they're using any other sub-report in other columns. This is also, I think, the same one at 3 months. 3 months. These two columns, they are using the same sub-report. I think this is a different one. This is a different sub-report. That's what I guess. But let's see. This is a different sub-report. The sub-report with the name. You are figuring it out. When I think all custom reports, how do you identify? Is it the metrics report or is it a composite report? Because you can only use metrics for a composite report. No. When I say when you type all custom report here you have the report type. I just filtered on. Composite or metrics, you will see all custom reports. Will give you all the reports existing in your system. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.